Well, that didn't exactly go as planned. Yesterday here on the video report, I gave you 2 complimentary plays using 2 teams that I have used repeatedly this season because they've been such money makers for me. First, I gave you Marquette at home laying 8.5 against DePaul because I didn't think DePaul, even though the Blue Demons were coming off a road win against Seton Hall, would be able to hang within that number at Marquette because the Golden Eagles at home have been money in the bank. And they managed to cover the number. And then I gave you one of my favorites, Nevada, at home, laying 19 against Colorado State. And what happens? The Wolfpack win by like 243 points. 2 easy winners. Now my best bet, however, was a top-rated 15-dime release, of which I was 16-7 going into that game last night in Baton Rouge, LSU, laying 11 against Georgia. Now, I'm flying across country last night, so I couldn't watch the game, but I'm following it online, seeing the scores constantly come by, and LSU was up twice by as many as 17 points with about 5 minutes to go in that game. But naturally, Georgia hangs around, the Bulldogs come back, they whittle down the lead, and they manage to stay within the number because the game finishes with a 10-point margin, and LSU is laying 11. Now, it's a full flight. The lady sitting next to me, who's a real pain in the ass because, you're sitting in, I'm in one of those flights that, there's 2 seats on each side, and she believes that her elbow belongs entirely to that armrest next to me. And she's constantly, she must have thought that we were playing roller derby at 35,000 feet above the air. I mean, she was just a pain in the ass. Well, still, I was being a gentleman. I muttered my favorite obscenities under my breath, and I only used a few of them because, listen, I've got to store up those obscenities. I've used most of my February quotient already, and I don't want to bank too many of March's in advance because I've got to save them up for March Madness. You know what I mean. So I lost the game. And I'm still 16-8 this season with my top-rated 15-dime best bets. I can't complain about the money I've made you and me in college basketball. But there's something to be learned from that game. After the contest, Will Wade, the LSU coach, just blasted his team pretty much in the post-game press conference. Not happy at all with their defensive effort. Not happy with the way they collapsed late in the game. Not happy with his team's effort at all. Now listen, guys, I was a reporter, as you know, for 9 years. I've been in enough press conferences. I've been around coaches enough to understand that there's 2 things going on. It's what they say, and it's what they mean. And what he was saying was 100% true. But then there's the meaning behind what he was saying. He was sending a message. So many times you will see coaches after games. Steve Kerr is a great one at this with Golden State. When he talks about officiating, or he talks about his team, the Warriors, lack of defensive presence and focus. He's sending a message. Well, Will Wade, in that particular instance last night, was sending his team a message. It's not really that LSU played poorly last night. Listen, his team shot 50% last night. I mean, his team against a bigger, more physical Georgia team held their own on the boards. 32-31 rebounding advantage. And Georgia is a much bigger, more physical team. No ifs, ands, or buts. Problem is, Georgia hit at a 53.6% clip from the field last night. That's what was unacceptable. So, yes, he was upset about that. But remember, this is a Georgia team that has played lousy on the road. 0-2 SEC Highway this year. This was a Georgia team that had lost 4 out of 5 games. This was a Georgia team that was playing with an air of desperation. Wade was also sending a message to his team for the next game, because the next 2 games are on the road against Missouri and Texas A&M. And as a gambler, you have to realize that they could be a great betting possibilities. Missouri lost its last home game by 10 points to Alabama. Missouri is just a bad team. You've got to think that LSU is going to come out and have a great defensive effort in its next game. And this LSU team is a great offensive team as well. So it's something you file away and go, when I see that next point spread come out this weekend, could LSU be a best bet? Because the gauntlet has been thrown, and you can bet your bottom dollar that those practices the next couple of days, they're going to be intense. And they ain't going to be focusing on layup drills. It's going to be all about focusing on defense. So often you have to pick up on the cues that coaches throw out there for you post-game. and apply it to the next game out and the next gambling situation, the next money-making opportunity. Even though you may have lost money like I did last night, there's another win right around the corner. So that is the moral of this story. But damn it, couldn't you have won at least by another point? That's all I cared about last night. So I've got another complimentary plays here. We'll talk about the Michigan State-Iowa game too. Yeah, what the hell? We'll talk about that right now, right? Let's get to it. I think it's a very interesting game here tonight. Michigan State absolutely destroyed, of course, Iowa in the first meeting. And since then, Iowa's played some great ball, winning 10 out of 11 games since that December 3rd debacle in East Lansing when the Spartans won 90-68. Iowa's coming off a 95-71 win over Illinois in its last game. They've won 5 straight, 10 out of 11. In that stretch, the Hawkeyes have averaged 9 3-pointers a game. Now, of course, Michigan State comes in here. They have won 12 in a row. They're coming off a nice, easy win at home against Maryland. They're already 4-0 on the conference highway, winning by 11 at Rutgers, by 9 in Columbus against Ohio State, by 15 at Penn State, and by 6 in Lincoln against Nebraska. The bad news, if there is some, for a team that has won 12 straight, is that Joshua Langford, their good shooting wing, is still out. He's going to miss his 7th straight game. He's been averaging 15 points this season. You know, the key in the first game was that Nick Ward, he had just a great game, 10 for 10 from the field. Then hitting a career high up to that point with 26 points to go along with 9 rebounds and 2 blocks. Now, it's interesting. In the Maryland game a couple of nights ago, he got into early foul trouble, played only 14 minutes, went 0 for 3. First time he was held scoreless ever in his career, the junior forward for Michigan State. He averages 15.7 points a game. Michigan State has won 20 consecutive conference games. Last year they won in Hawkeye Arena, Carver Center, I think it is. 96-93. You know, Tyler Cook is back. He's healthy. He'd been in and out of the lineup because of some nagging injuries, but he's averaging, or he had 15 points, 8 rebounds in the first meeting. He's one of 5 double-figure scores for Iowa. The Hawkeyes 11-1 straight up at home. Here's the deal with Iowa, though. For as good as the Hawkeyes are offensively, they are a horrendous defensive team. I mean, second to last in the conference in terms of scoring defense. 9th in terms of field goal percentage defense. Iowa's going to want to accelerate the tempo of this game. That's their MO. Michigan State is a damn good defensive team. Michigan State has owned this series, not only winning 12 of the last 14, but 17 of the last 20. But this begins a very dangerous stretch for Michigan State in terms of playing on the road. I think this game has the potential to be a high-scoring game. And I'll tell you what, sooner or later, every team has a clunker. And this could be that game for Michigan State. Again, they don't have Langford. You've got Iowa playing its best ball of the entire season. This could be a 3-point game. So I think it's going to be a good game to watch from a fan perspective. I do like taking the 5.5 points with Iowa in this spot. So Iowa would be my play. Let's head out west where Washington has won 7 in a row and has outscored their opponents by a total of a combined 100 points in that stretch. First in the Pac-12 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Sounds pretty damn good, right? The Huskies a 2.5 point underdog tonight at Oregon. But, come on, you knew there was a but here. But, they haven't played anybody. They've all the Huskies have played of the lower echelon teams in the conference. They haven't played any of the big boys yet. But listen, 7 straight wins is 7 straight wins. And leading the Pac-12 in offensive and defensive efficiency, it ain't bad. They're 2-0 on the Pac-12 road. They beat Utah by 16, beat Colorado by 7. They're coming off a home sweep of Stanford by 16 and California by 19. Meanwhile, Oregon's returning home after a split of its Arizona road trip, winning in Tucson, pulling the upset of the Wildcats, and then getting hammered in Tempe by the Sun Devils 78-64. Now, let's go back to what I just said. Washington hasn't played anybody in the upper echelon of the Pac-12. Is Oregon in the upper echelon of the Pac-12? Riddle me that. I mean, okay, you pulled off the upset of Arizona, but Arizona has been an inconsistent team. Oregon opened up Pac-12 play by losing its first game to Oregon State. That's embarrassment enough. Blowing a double-digit lead in the closing minutes and losing to UCLA, and then beating USC. I think Mike Hopkins has one of the best teams there in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 isn't that good. So I'm willing to go ahead and take Washington to snap a 6-game series slide, and I dare you to say that 3 times quickly. Washington plus the 2.5 points is my play in this one. In terms of these two selections, which one do I like better? Well, that would be Washington. Do I like either one of these plays as much as I like Nevada or Marquette last night? No. But hey, I won those handily, so what the hell? Again, Washington and Iowa, your 2 complimentary plays. That'll do it, and I wish you well, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Good luck, everybody.